The Be More Impactful Award recognizes an organization that has responded to a community need and is making a significant difference in the community as measured by participation in its programs and the value the organization has established within the community.
And the winner of the WTCI Be More Impactful Award is, I'm opening the envelope, Blood Assurance. Congratulations.
But that's not all. The prestigious Be More Engaging People's Choice Award recognizes the local organization that is most connected to the community and the people it serves. Through online voting, local citizens decided which organization they felt most exemplifies the spirit of the community.
And the winner of the Be More Engaging Award is Blood Assurance.
Blood Assurance is certainly impactful and engaging. Although less than 10% of the eligible population donates blood, Blood Assurance has been on a mission since 1972 to meet the demands of our local hospitals by providing a safe and adequate supply of this life-saving gift to every area patient in need. Blood Assurance supplies blood components to 56 area hospitals and healthcare facilities in Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina. And here to talk about it is Rick Youngblood, the President and CEO of Blood Assurance. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here today.
I'm glad to be here.
2 Be More Awards. That's awesome.
It's amazing, overwhelming.
What did it mean to you and your organization to win these awards?
You know, I think when I first found out personally,
yeah.
I went, wow, that's amazing that the people really recognized in their own way, the way they felt about us, that we were maybe making contributions to the community, because most people don't sit around at dinner time and think, I'm bored, let's just go give blood.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of a nice experience, and as I said, very overwhelming that we were selected, and especially the first year of this event. It was just an honor.
It was a great way to kick it off.
It was. I'm just amazed.
Can you take us through the Blood Assurance process and just sort of tell the folks at home exactly what Blood Assurance does?
Sure. You know, we have, as you've noted, we've been an organization since 1972, and we were formed because there was a distinct need based on the community leaders seeing what was going on to have an organization that collected and tested and distributed all the blood and blood products for all these hospitals. So since that time, we have essentially just come together and continued to grow, because there are more hospitals, there are more people in need, and that's where we've come from, and that's where we are. The best way to put it is, we help save lives, but really we can't save those lives without the people that voted for us, because they're the ones that make the difference. So that's why I keep going back to how honored we were, because it's really them. I honored them more than anyone else, because they're the reason we exist.
Well, we talked about right off the bat about how only 10% of eligible donors are giving blood. Well, what exactly, the numbers do you need to be able to have an adequate supply?
Typically, on any given day, we need a minimum of 400 units, and a unit equates to a pint for everyone's for their perspective. We need 400 pints a day just to make sure that the blood supply is adequate. We try to maintain a minimum supply of blood anyway, and that's usually 3 to 5 days. Now, if you put that in perspective, that's not a lot of blood, but at the same time, that's probably the right amount given what we see the usage is in all the areas that we serve.
Wow. Well, what kind of obstacles do you face in encouraging blood donation? What holds people back?
Well, I think when you say the word needle, that alone makes people kind of get worried, but that's probably the biggest obstacle. That plus, it's a constant educational issue for us. You know, if I put it in perspective as well, I've done a lot of reading and studying about the collection of blood since it began to take place. And one of the things that has always amazed me is that, frankly speaking, again, the greatest generation, and that is the ones that we revere, the World War II generation, they really were extremely giving, and they have made that a lifetime pursuit in terms of being committed to doing. Right. Over time, though, we've seen that go away. People, I think, become involved in other things. You know, they have their family, their careers, so that importance hasn't maybe always fallen down to the next generation. So that's why it's become an educational issue for us. So one of our greatest challenges, again, is to educate people, and we've made a real focus in the last 5 to 10 years to focus on the younger generation, those that are actually in elementary school, middle school, and high school, because what happens is when they get to college, for example, once they're done, they go and start their families, they begin their careers, and they're not following the same pattern. So we're trying to get them to get it in their head, this is a really important thing to do until there's some substitute that comes around where it's not necessary, and we don't see that any time in the near future.
Well, how do you do that? How do you get those that generations that's coming up to make the move and to continue doing it on into adulthood?
I think it's all about teaching them the why. And the why is, when you do this, you literally affect multiple people and multiple lives. I can give you a personal example that's really helped me. After I first came here, I had been a donor of blood where I'd lived previously, but didn't really get it. I just did it because of peer pressure, and many people do that, quite frankly. But I had an opportunity to visit the local trauma center, and spent some time there, and then had an opportunity to go spend a little more time in the neonatal intensive care unit. Now, being the father of 4 daughters, it's a little sensitive for me, but I remember standing there, and there was a small baby that literally was the size of my hand, and beside that baby was a little small pack of blood. And I remember saying to myself, I get it. The why is it saves lives, and that's really, I think, what we have to do is teach people the why. So we do that. We do it through, again, visiting with elementary school students, teaching middle school and high school students the importance. I think it's that generation that makes a difference, because if you train them right when they're young, the rest of it follows, I believe.
Teaching them how to make an impact.
That's right. Making that impact is the key. It really is.
How young can someone give blood? How young can you be to give blood?
16 years of age with parental consent. They can donate blood. They have to meet weight requirements, and that typically is 110 pounds or above. So that's the requirement.
Do you see a good number of those younger people giving blood?
You know, we do. That's been exciting. You know, you see these kids really step up. They begin to see the outcome of it, and we try to paint that picture to them, that it's not just you're having a needle, but you're going to make a difference for somebody. Right.
Let's talk about, I'm interested too as to what motivates people as far as, like, I would think the convenience factor is an issue. Yeah. And I'm imagining that maybe your mobile units that you go out to locations have a big impact as well, am I right?
That's a great question also. And let me tell you, that's a dynamic we haven't completely figured out, because it's called the shifting of society. 10 years ago, most of the blood was collected in what we refer to as a fixed site facility, where people would go there. Right. Well, with the ever-changing world that we live in, people want more convenience, so yes, it is to the blood mobiles. But I think it's a mixture of both right now. Some people prefer to go into a fixed bricks and mortar entity because they know the people a little better. They've built those reputations or those relationships, whereas at the buses are critical for us, especially going to schools, because that's a captive audience in a good way. They like us there. It makes it more convenient for the administration and the students to be able to be where they are.
Let's shift a little bit and talk about some of the technical innovations that you've seen in the last 5 or 10 years and the impact that's making on the work that you do there.
We now have the ability to collect blood from an individual and get 2 units of blood. Oh. Now, that's because of technology. What it does is it separates, instead of just taking all the products out of the individual, it takes just the red cells and reinfuses those products back into the person, also with some saline solution. That saline helps hydrate the individual, so it makes it a much better experience. So that's a real technological advancement. And interestingly enough, we were one of the first blood centers in the country that adapted this technology, and they've asked us to do a lot of presentations about our success with that. And the other, I think, technological breakthroughs center around the testing environment. You know, advances in testing allow us to be able to get the blood processed and out to the hospitals in a more expeditious manner. Quite frankly, there are a lot of blood centers in the country that just are not large enough to afford that cost effectively. They still do all the testing, but it's become a very large expense. And at the size that we are, we have the ability to provide that for other blood centers, and we've been doing that for some time, but I see that growing as well, just because it helps provide them a service and it's more accessible for them.
We talk a lot about how percentages and numbers and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
but on a broader, more personal level, how have you seen blood assurance change people's lives, both the givers and the receivers?
I think a good example is we're part of the National Marrow Donor Program, and we had a young lady who had a bone marrow transplant be able to match up with the donor, and we brought them together. So the reality of that was obvious, you know, to see really the joy and, no pun intended, the impact that it had on both of these people, you know, the recipient and the donor. They saw what the results were of giving and receiving. You know, you could see the joy in the lives of the family and their members to see someone who'd taken the time and the effort to give their bone marrow. So that's pretty amazing.
That must make you feel great to be doing what you do.
It does. You know, it's like I tell my children, it's a nice and a wonderful thing to wake up and go to work every morning and know that what is being done where you are literally has an impact on others. It just does.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Youngblood, for coming and for being with us, and congratulations again on your Be More Awards.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to learn more about blood assurance and how you can help, visit bloodassurance.org.